Have you ever heard a voice that didn't come from your mind, but was so real it seemed to cut through the silence around you? This question has haunted me since the night everything changed. I wasn't looking for a vision, a spiritual experience, or a sign from heaven. I was just an ordinary man trying to survive another day in a country that seems to live on the brink of something no one wants to admit. America, this land that once seemed firm, now sounds like ground that creaks before cracking, and without understanding why I had been carrying this weight inside me for weeks. I remember sitting alone, very late at night. The house was quiet, the street empty, but my head was noisy, full of thoughts about the future, about fear, about what is silently approaching America. I wasn't praying aloud, but inside I was asking for clarity, or perhaps just a little peace. And then it happened. It wasn't a noise. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't my imagination. He was a voice, clear, firm, impossible to ignore. A voice that carried authority, urgency, purpose. In that instant, I knew that wasn't coming from me. That wasn't human. And what did that voice tell me? The warning that Jesus gave me about what is approaching America. It completely changed the way I see everything around me. And if you stay with me, you'll understand why. When that voice first called to me, I felt my whole body react. It wasn't a loud sound, but it was so different from anything else I'd ever heard that my heart skipped a beat. And to tell the truth, that night had already started strangely long before that voice appeared. I wasn't okay. I spent the whole day carrying a weight that didn't make sense. A mixture of sadness, anxiety, and that kind of worry you can't explain to anyone because you don't even understand it yourself. It felt like everything was out of place. It felt like America was different, heavier, noisier inside, even when everything around was quiet. I had lost sleep in the last few days. I had lost my appetite. I had lost my peace. Every news story I saw made my chest tighten. Fights in the streets, people arguing over anything, families drifting apart, violence increasing. It was as if the country was splitting in two, but nobody wanted to admit it. I tried to act normally, but my mind seemed to scream all the time. It was as if something was coming, something big, something serious, and people simply didn't want to see it. I felt like I was carrying a secret that even I didn't know what it was, and that left me exhausted, as if I had walked miles without moving from the spot. That night, I was sitting on the sofa, the whole house dark. The only light came from a lamppost outside, shining through the window and casting long shadows on the floor. I tried to control my breathing, tried to calm my thoughts, tried to find some peace within my own body, but every time I closed my eyes, my head returned to the same place. What's happening to America? That question followed me like a shadow. It was as if I were trying to hold back a huge wave, but I had no strength to do it. At one point, I felt my hands trembling, not from ordinary fear, but from exhaustion of the soul. That kind of exhaustion that makes you want to lie down and disappear for a few minutes. So I did it. I stopped fighting against my own weight. I settled myself on the sofa, let my head rest, and exhaled through my mouth. It wasn't exactly a prayer, but it was almost that, a surrender of someone who had no more answers, of someone who had no more strength. I closed my eyes slowly, just trying to disconnect for a moment. It was at that exact moment that the atmosphere began to change, not quickly or dramatically, but subtly, like when someone lowers the volume of a radio without you noticing at first. Suddenly, the sound of the street disappeared. The sound of the wind vanished. Even the sensation of the sofa seemed to become distant. It was as if the space around me had changed size. I was still there, but I also wasn't. I could feel my body, but at the same time it seemed that the air around me had become denser, deeper. I opened my eyes within this strange sensation and saw that the room was no longer the same. The shadows seemed frozen in the air, as if time had frozen for a few seconds. And that's when I heard it again. That voice. It wasn't coming from the room. It wasn't coming from the street. It wasn't coming from my body. It wasn't coming from my mind. It was a voice that seemed to pierce everything, the air, the space, the silence, even my chest. It was firm, gentle, clear, unhurried, fearless. A voice you recognize even if you've never heard it before. A voice that makes everything inside you stop. I knew without a doubt that that voice wasn't human. I knew that it was real, and I knew that it was Jesus. My heart felt so light and so heavy at the same time that I can't explain it. It was as if I was being seen completely, not just on the outside, but on the inside. All my doubts, my worries, my fears, everything was exposed before that presence, and yet I felt no shame. It was just truth, a truth so strong it seemed to hold my body in place. The room, or whatever it had become, grew even quieter. There was no bright light, no open sky, nothing spectacular. It was simple, profound, almost documentary-like, as if I were sitting in my own room, but with a presence that completely changed. Everything. I didn't see a face clearly, I didn't see details, but I felt it. I felt the presence of Jesus so real that it was as if someone were sitting right in front of me. I didn't need to see. I knew. When he spoke again, it was as if the air vibrated. It wasn't a physical vibration, but an emotional, spiritual one. He said my name, not with his mouth, but with his spirit. And when I heard it, I felt as if I was being called out of my own confusion. He said he needed me to pay attention. He said that what he was about to reveal wasn't to frighten me, but to prepare my heart. I felt my hands become sweaty, my eyes widen. My body was still, but my soul was completely alert. And then he began to show me. First, I saw something like a shadow moving across the map. It wasn't a paper map. It was as if I were seeing America from afar, from above. The cities shone like tiny points of light, but this shadow moved slowly, passing through different regions, as if searching for a place to land. As I watched this, Jesus began to explain. He said that America was heading toward a time of great confusion. He said that many people were spiritually asleep, distracted by small things, blind to big things. He said that the country had lost the sound of truth because it was listening to too many voices. Each of his words weighed on my chest like a hot stone. I felt the gravity of what he was saying. There was no fantasy. There was no exaggeration. It was real, direct, firm. He said that what is approaching is not something that man controls. It is not something that a government can stop. It is not something that can be resolved with discussion or opinion. He said it is a spiritual change, a shaking that begins from within before it appears on the outside, and that many will feel it, but few will understand. I saw fleeting images, like flashes of light. I saw confused people in the streets. I saw families trying to protect themselves. I saw places that once seemed safe become strange, almost unrecognizable. I saw division growing. I saw despair arising from nowhere. I saw fear, a lot of fear, and at the same time, I saw small points of light growing in some places, as if they were houses where people were truly praying, asking for guidance, asking Jesus to speak before it was too late. I wanted to ask so many things, but I couldn't speak. My voice wouldn't come out. My mind tried to keep up, but each of his words went so deep that I could barely breathe. It was as if I was receiving something that wasn't meant to be ignored, and I knew it wasn't just for me. His presence grew even stronger, and amidst this weight, this profound revelation, this vision of what is coming to America, I felt that he was going to show me something even more specific. And when he began to show me something even more specific, I felt my whole body become firm, as if I had been lifted up from the inside, even though I was still sitting. It was a strange sensation, because it seemed that my spirit was understanding everything faster than my mind could keep up with. The presence of Jesus was so strong at that moment that it was as if the air had gained weight, a weight that doesn't hurt, but that makes you know that something important is happening there. He placed before me something that looked like a line, as if it were an invisible border. On one side, I saw places that still had a soft, faint, but vibrant light. On the other side, I saw areas where darkness was slowly growing, like smoke spreading when no one is paying attention. I knew he wanted me to understand this difference. He made me feel that this division had nothing to do with geography, but with the hearts of the people. It was as if he was saying that what is coming to America has nothing to do with events, but with choices. Choices made over the years. Spiritual choices that many made without thinking about the consequences. He was silent for a few seconds, and I felt as if the silence spoke louder than any words. Then he said something I will never forget. He said that America is approaching a time when everything that is hidden will be exposed, that it is no longer any use trying to cover the sun with your hand, pretending that everything is all right, or saying that faith is just a detail of life. He said that the nation has sinned, has ignored warnings, has strayed from the truth, and that because of this, a time of upheaval is drawing near. But He said this with pain in his eyes, not with anger, like someone who still loves deeply, even when he needs to correct. The scenes kept passing before me, quick but full of meaning. I saw landscapes I recognized, cities I had seen before, but in a different way. Some had a strong glow as if people were praying sincerely there. Others seemed covered by a heavy silence, where hope had been swallowed by distractions. He made me feel that America's greatest battle is not visible. It happens in the heart. In the heart of every person who chooses to listen to or ignore the voice of Jesus. Suddenly the vision changed again. He showed me something like waves. Large, slow waves, coming from afar. Each wave seemed to bring something different. Confusion, fear, disorder, loss, sudden change. But among these waves there were also small signs of light, as if in the midst of all this, some people would finally stop and ask, "What is Jesus saying? What does he want me to do?" It was as if he were showing me that the crisis would not come to destroy for the sake of destruction, but to awaken those who are spiritually asleep. I felt a strong tightness in my chest when I understood that these waves weren't just symbolic, they were real in a way I couldn't deny. And Jesus said that many can already feel these waves coming, even without understanding what they are. He said that the sense of unease that so many people have is not without reason. It's a calling. It's a gentle warning. It's him saying, prepare your heart, pay attention, don't get distracted, don't ignore what I'm saying. My body trembled inside as he spoke, not from physical fear, but from a sense of responsibility. It was as if his words were being planted within me like seeds, and I knew these seeds were not meant to be kept hidden. He went on to say that many people in America have lived as if nothing were wrong, as if each day were the same as the last, as if it were possible to drown out the voice of God with noise, entertainment, politics, and empty arguments. He said that much of the nation is so busy fighting each other that it doesn't notice the real war raging beneath the surface. I tried to look away, like someone who sees something too intense, but I couldn't. It was as if he were holding my attention, not harshly, but with the firmness of someone who knows it's necessary. Then he showed me something that made me tremble. I saw a clock, but it wasn't an ordinary clock. The hands didn't move in circles. They went forward, straight ahead, fast. It was as if time was running differently now, as if something was approaching faster than people imagine. I asked with my heart, not my mouth, "Lord, what exactly is coming?" And he answered with deep sadness, "A time of harvest. Each one will reap what they have sown. America will reap what it has sown." He said that this harvest is not just pain. For some, it will be awakening. For others, it will be warning. For still others, it will be repentance. But for many, it will be shock, because they have spent years playing with serious things, ignoring warnings, mocking the truth. As he spoke, I saw images of people running, not from physical fear, but as if searching for something they had lost. I saw families trying to reunite. I saw churches returning to basics, letting go of what doesn't matter. I saw people crying, people kneeling, people saying the name of Jesus as if it were the first time. And I knew, what is coming will change America. It will change not only places but people. It will bring to light who truly listens to the voice of Jesus and who only says they listen. I felt my hands grow cold. I felt my mind trying to find some logical explanation, but there was no logical explanation for it. It was too real, too alive. I wanted to ask more, but it seemed that Jesus knew what I wanted to know before I even thought of it. He showed me that this time of turmoil is not the end. It's a beginning, a hard beginning, but a necessary one. Like when a doctor needs to press on a wound to remove the infection. It hurts, but it saves. And then, while I was still trying to understand everything, I felt the vision begin to change again. His presence remained, but something in the atmosphere became softer, as if he were preparing me to return to the normal world, to my body, to my room, to ordinary life. But before letting me return completely, he made me feel something that wasn't a word, but was as strong as one. He made me feel that I couldn't keep it to myself. He made me feel that the warning was also for other people, for people who may never have had such an experience, but who feel, deep down, that something is wrong and that Jesus is trying to warn them. My heart began to beat faster. I felt my eyes blink as if the physical world was slowly returning. I felt my body heavy on the sofa. I felt the familiar air of the room, but the presence was still there, in a gentle way, as if he was saying that he wasn't finished yet. Even after returning to my body, I still felt as if the air carried something different, as if part of that presence had remained with me. I slowly opened my eyes, unsure if I had been awake for a long time or if it had all happened in just a few seconds. My chest rose and fell too quickly. My vision was somewhat blurry. The room was the same, but at the same time, it seemed different, as if reality was waiting for me to return, but I was no longer the same man who had sat there moments before. I touched my face with my hands and felt that they were cold, as if I had walked in the snow. And yet, inside, there was a strange warmth, as if the voice of Jesus was still echoing within me. The first thing I noticed was that my legs were trembling. I tried to stand up, but I had to support myself with my hands on the sofa. It was as if my body was trying to comprehend what my soul had seen. I walked slowly to the kitchen sink, splashed water on my face, but the feeling that something enormous had just happened wouldn't leave me. The house seemed quieter than before, almost respectful, as if the atmosphere itself had witnessed the revelation. I couldn't think of anything ordinary. My heart was heavy, but not with the same weight as before. It was a different kind of weight, a weight of responsibility. The following days were filled with small signs, small confirmations that came from the most unexpected places. I would turn on the television and see news that sounded exactly like the waves he had shown. Comments about crisis, about fear, about uncertainty. Conversations that seemed to echo parts of the vision. It was as if the world was beginning to move in the direction Jesus had shown, even if people didn't realize it. I met friends who said strange things like, "I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling about the future." Or, "It seems like something is approaching." I would listen, trying not to react too strongly, but inside I knew it wasn't a coincidence. And I changed too. Small things that I used to let pass now caught my attention. Empty conversations tired me. Harsh words between families made me uneasy. Political fights seemed completely meaningless. It was as if I had been pulled out of a bubble I didn't even know existed. And, looking at America, I no longer saw just a country. I saw a place on alert. A place walking towards an inevitable encounter with the truth, not the truth of people, the truth of Jesus. I started praying differently. Before, my prayers were quick, sometimes rushed, full of requests. After that night, my prayers became quieter, deeper, heavier. I didn't just want to speak, I wanted to listen, to hear again the voice that had spoken to me, to hear direction, to hear comfort, to hear what was missing in my life and in so many other lives. I began to realize that many things I considered important weren't, and that many things I ignored had far more value than I imagined. And that made me rethink everything. But the biggest impact came when I started observing the people around me. I noticed tired looks, forced smiles, conversations full of hidden fear. It was as if everyone was carrying an inner weight, but didn't know how to explain it. A kind of anguish that doesn't show up in medical exams, but appears in the way people breathe, walk, sleep. And suddenly, I understood something Jesus had made clear. This warning wasn't just for me, it was for many people. For people who may never have had a vision, but who feel that something is out of place. People who don't know the name of fear, but feel fear nonetheless. People who realize that America isn't heading towards something light. As the days passed, I realized that this revelation was taking root within me. Not roots of fear, but roots of understanding. I knew it was impossible to return to the man I was before. Because once Jesus shows you something, you can't unsee it. He opens the eyes of the soul, and after that, the way you see the world changes forever. And I understood that however strong the warning was, he hadn't shown it to destroy me. He had shown it because he still loves, because he still calls, because he still warns before the storm. And that's when the reflection began to grow within me, a reflection that wasn't just mine, but seemed destined for anyone willing to listen. I started thinking about what that revelation meant for me, for my family, for my friends, for strangers who might be experiencing exactly that. A divided country, a wounded nation, a confused people, lost between voices that shout and fall silent at the same time. And in the midst of this chaos, a firm, clear, true voice saying, "I am still here, I am still speaking, I am still warning." As I recalled his words, I realized that Jesus didn't bring that warning to instill fear, but to awaken, because many are walking as if nothing is happening, as if the world were the same as before, as if the truth could be ignored forever. But he showed that times are changing, that America is entering a phase where faith needs to stop being a pretty phrase and become a real foundation, where people will need to decide who they listen to, the confusion out there or his voice within. I knew that talking about this wouldn't be simple. Many people will doubt, many people will mock, many people will be bothered. But I also know that there is a group, perhaps small, perhaps large, that will listen and recognize, because the Spirit recognizes when Jesus is calling, even if the mind doubts, even if the mouth cannot explain, even if the world around says that none of this is real. The one who listens knows, the one who feels knows, the one who is awakening knows. And that's why this story doesn't end here, because this revelation was not given to be forgotten. It was meant to be understood, shared, and taken seriously. I can still hear within me a soft echo of that night, a memory that doesn't hurt, but that won't let me return to normal. A memory of the voice that called me, the presence that surrounded me, the images that were shown to me, and the future that is approaching, slowly, silently, but real. And while these memories remain vivid within me, I know that Jesus is still speaking, still calling, still warning. If you've made it this far, that already shows me that this message spoke to you in a special way. So I want to ask you for something simple, but something that really helps this channel reach other people who also need to hear words like this. First, subscribe to the channel. This ensures you continue to receive profound stories, warnings, and testimonials like this one, and also helps YouTube understand that this content has value. If you stayed until the end, leave your like now, because YouTube shows that video to more people when it sees that someone watched it until the very last minute. And I want you to comment on a specific phrase to mark that you listened to the end and understood the weight of this testimony. Write it in the comments. I'm paying attention. This phrase is simple, yet powerful. It shows that you're not just watching videos for the sake of watching them. You're listening to something bigger. And before you leave, don't miss the next video that's playing on your screen right now. It connects directly to what you just heard, and Jesus may want to continue speaking to you through it. See you there.